Hebrews. This is our non-Messianic conversations. This is our evening Sabbath class on the 3rd of March, 2021. Before we get started, I was going to advise you to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We're going to go into our, before we do this moment of silence, I was going to let everybody know I keep on forgetting that 20 minutes to 15 minutes before we start the class, we're doing a little praise and worship with a little Israelite music. So if you wanted to come in a little earlier, check it out, you can. So we're going to do our moment of silence and do a prayer, and then we're going to go into read the Psalms and go into our current events. Okay. So, oh Lord, we come this day praising thee, worshiping thee for thy might and power and thy great understanding. O Lord, the end times that you foretold unto our forefathers are upon us. O Lord, give us strength and wisdom to endure all that thou hast foretold. Give us, O Lord, the knowledge to rightly divide thy word, that it may be delivered in righteousness and in truth. There are great confusion among your inheritance, Israel, O Lord, now that you are awakening them. For I know, O Lord, that your hand is sure and that your hand is firm. O Lord, we need you so very much in these latter days. At this time, we will tarry and depend upon you, O Lord, because there is none else besides you, O Lord. You are our deliverer and our redeemer. Peace be unto you. Okay. We're going to read the Psalms right quick, then go into the current events. Okay. So I'm going to read Psalms 59. It says a prayer for deliverance. It says, deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity. Save me from bloody men. For lo, they lie in wait for my soul. The mighty the mighty are gathered against me, not for my transgression, nor for my sin, O Lord. They run and prepare themselves without my fault. Awake and help me, and behold, thou therefore, O Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, awake to visit all the heathens, to be not merciful to any wicked transgressors. Selah. They return at evening, they make a noise like a dog, and go round about the city. Behold, they bleach out with their mouth. Swords are in their lips. For who say they do it here? But thou, O Lord, shall laugh at them. Thou shalt have all the heathens in derision. Because of his strength will I wait upon thee. For God is my defense. The God of my mercy shall prevent me. God shall let me see my desires upon my enemies. Slay them not, lest my people forget. Scatter them by the power and bring them down, O Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouth and the words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for cursing and lying which they speak. Consume them in the wrath, consume them that they may not be, and let them know that God rules in Jacob unto the ends of the earth. Selah. And at evening let them return, and let them make a noise like a dog, and go round about the city. Let them wander up and down for meat, and grudge if they be satisfied. But I will sing of thy power, yea, I will sing aloud of thy mercy in the morning, for thou hast been my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. Unto thee, O my strength, will I sing, for God is my defense and the God of my mercy. That was Psalm 59, and it's a prayer for deliverance. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I got a little video I'm gonna play before I go into the to the lesson. We're gonna pick up from this morning. It's the untold story about Adam and Eve. But I'm gonna play this right here, because this is like a witness. I guess they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we're gonna deal with this right here. This pertains to the giants. In case you got some doubters out there that that don't fit into the scriptures or it don't fit in the history. But we're gonna play this right here. This is like real time. Okay. They talking in Arabic, so don't worry about the Arabic. Just look at the audio. I mean the visual. Okay.
اليوم رجعنا على القاهرة مصر. ما تزور هالبلد عمرك ما بتمل منها.
They're in Egypt. Remember I told you that those 200 giants, angels came down on Mount Hermon. Then from Mount Hermon, the geographical location they went to was Egypt. We just saw the pyramids. We in Egypt.
بتخلص قصص العالم فيها. بس اليوم قررنا نزور مدينة مختلفة شوي، قريبة ساعة ونص من القاهرة. كنت أسمع دائما عنها بالأفلام المصرية. اسمها الشرقية.
Giant.
هدى ومحمد، واللي منها بيحكوا لهم شرقاوي أو شرقاوية. وصلنا ساعة ونص حتى وصلنا لبيت عائلة مختلفة. من أطول الناس في العالم.
أنا اسمي محمد شحات عبد الجواد من الشرقية،
ولكنهم مظلومين شوي.
طولي 247.
أحجامهم غير عادية، ولكن جينيس ريكورد مش معترفين فيهم إلى الآن. خلينا نتعرف على قصتهم أكثر.
بص مفيش، لسه عندي وقت مكتب. راح مش هعرف أخش يعني ولا تروحي كده تعود.
تقدرش توقف؟
ما أعرفش. أنا بدي أقفل روحي كده، ما هتروح خبطاني في راسي. هتروح المروحة. عايز مروحة.
فجأة يعني صار معك أنت؟
ما أنا كنت في عند 15 سنة ولا 14 سنة كنت عادي وبركب العربية وبمارس حياتي عادي وبشتغل وأسرح وكنت حلو خالص. وفجأة لقيت روحي كده، فجأة لقيت رجليها كبرت والعين دلوقتي لسه بتكبر. العين دلوقتي لسه بتكبر. طب أنت بتطول ورجليك بتكبر، هدومك غالية، كل لبسك تفصيل.
هو واصل للحيط وواصل للمروحة، المروحة ما بيقدر يشغلها بسبب
مش هقدر أمسك كرتونة وأجيبها على روحي وأنا قاعد كده عشان مروحي تخبطني في راسي. أنا نايم كده هنا لازم أعمل كده.
أول ما قمت
يجي فجأة راحت خبطاني بس.
أنت تمد تاخذ الأرض كلها، فلما تقوم تخبط. دي الوالدة؟ أهلا وسهلا. تعبوكي معه؟
يعني هم ليه ما تعبت عن مربي، لان ابوهم مات بقاله 27 سنه.
وانت لحالك؟
وانا لحالي يعني بقينا نعاني ونشتغل انا والولد. دلوقتي جاله غضروف راسه وقعد في البيت معانا تاني راسه.
هو قديش عمره؟
محمد؟
أنا 34 سنة.
وطول أختك كم ما شاء الله؟
طول أختي 240.
طيب ما اشتغلت؟ ما اشتغلت قبل هيك؟
لا.
طب
مش حد بده شغل، مش حد يهتم بينا. كمان لو حد يهتم بيا ممكن ألعب كل سنة. مفيش مصدر رزق إلي خالص. يعني نفسي يبقى لي مصدر رزق، يمكن نفسي أتوظف، نفسي يبقى لي حاجة إني أعيش منها، لكن للأسف.
أنت درست؟
أنا درست وآخد معهد أزهر.
طوله 247 ولسه بيطول، يعني هسه ممكن نغيب عنه سنتين راح يطول أكثر من هيك، وقرب يوصل لأطول رجل بالعالم اللي هو 251 سلطان اللي صورناه بتركيا. تعرف سلطان أطول رجل في العالم؟ كويس. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. فقررنا نجيب لهم هديه، راح نجيب له عجل، بس راح نشتري له عجل كامل يربيه عنده. لو تعصب ايش بيصير؟ ممكن يعني
لا مش موضة بطلة،
ما تطلع عصبيتك على الناس.
مش موضة بطلة. خش جوا كده.
سكر حالك. لما يعصب سكر حاله عشان ممكن غضبه.
So see what you're looking at? See the woman on the side of him? She's giant too. This was missing out of the scriptures. Look at her hands, and look at her, and look at the guy over here too. See, look at her over here. This giant, she got the features in her too. So this the missing link. So this Isaac, this Esau right here. He married these women like this. That's how he got these boys. So Esau deliberately went and pursued these big women like this. See that? You can see they look alike. Look at her hands and look at her hands. See, so this right here, this 2021 right here, today, these people exist. So this justification of the scriptures, when you read Genesis chapter 6 and then all through the scriptures, it was giants. And like I said, Ham's son Mesarine is a giant. That's where they fallen angels came down here. Yeah. A little more of this play then.
يطلع بره. يعني هذا لو على انستغرام، لو محمد على انستغرام وهدى بينشهروا.
طب ليه مش نتكرر؟ ونبقى زي البني ادمين، يبقى حاجه مواصله حلوه.
Okay. Any comments? Any comments?
No.
Okay. So everybody good, huh? Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'll open it up. Like I said, any questions or anything anybody got before I start? We're not gonna be on it that long. I'm gonna any questions for anything was said this morning or whatever before we get started? Okay. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to pick up and finish up what I was doing with this untold story of Adam and Eve. So I had read where this says that Satan and 10 from his host transformed themselves into a maidens with more grace than any other in the entire world. They came up out of the river in front of Adam and Eve, and they said amongst themselves, "Come, we will look at the faces of Adam and Eve, who are of men on the earth. They are beautiful, and their faces look different than ours." Then they came to Adam and Eve, greeted them, and they stood amazed at them. Adam and Eve looked at them also and wondered at their beauty and said, "Is there another world under us with such beautiful creatures as these in it?" And the maiden said to Adam and Eve, "Yes, indeed, many of us were created." Then Adam said to them, "But how do you multiply?" And they told him, "We have husbands who have married us, and we bear them children who grew up and in turn married and are married and also bear children. Thus we increased up. O Adam, you will not believe us. We will show you our husbands and our children." And they shouted over the river, as it is to call their husbands and their children. And the men and the children came up from the river, and every man came to his wife, and his children were with him. And when Adam and Eve saw them, they stood speechless and were amazed at them. They they said to Adam and Eve, "See all our husbands and our children. You should marry Eve as we have married our husbands, so that you will have children as we have." So I don't know if you heard about it or whatever, but it's a thing that's going back. They saying mermaids, but they have this back in when you start doing your research, they got these people they call the marine people. They even had it on the movie that just recently came out, Aquaman. You know what I'm saying? There's people living in the water. So I want to show you something. You know, like I said, you can factor it in, or you don't have to factor it in. So I'm gonna go to Genesis right quick. So what they, like I said, you think that all they did was just tamper with the, gave us gave us the New Testament, but it's way more to it than that. And he hid a whole lot of understanding from us. So I'm in let me find Genesis chapter 9. See, so let me get it. Okay, I'm in Genesis chapter 7. This is the flood. And it says, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went up the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, but both of fowl and the cattle and the beast and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, and in whose nostrils were the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died, and every living substance was destroyed which was upon the face of the ground, both man, cattle, and creeping thing, and the fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So let's look at that. Like I say, tie your shoes up. So I'm read it again. I just read it, but I'm gonna read it with shine some light on it. So now what we reading is it killed everything on the land, not in the water. So it says, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth. See that? And the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went up upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 50 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. All flesh died that moved upon the earth, not in the seas. See that? Both fowl and of cattle and beasts and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. Fish ain't nothing. Whatever these giants did, they was intermingling with fish and everything. They was sleeping. They had beasts and stuff out in the ocean, but it didn't. All that was still alive. The water couldn't kill them. They killed everything on the land. So it says. So we see where these people just came from. That Adam dealing with. So it says, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both fowl and cattle and beasts and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, and in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in dry land died, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man, cattle, creeping thing, and fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him on the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth in 150 days. So you say, well, what you talking about, brother? Well, let's go over here. Genesis chapter 1. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. Make it plain. So it says, let me get it. It says, okay, 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. See, you mentioned the fish right here. Fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every creeping thing, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. See that? So when you get over here with the flood, and what the flood did was it killed everything on land. You don't mention nothing that's in the ocean. So, like I said before, so we're gonna go back over here. This is what they done. This is what they hoodwinked us. Even the the Babylonians and the Chaldeans talk about. That's what the Pope got this fish head on. He got his, he got a fish head. It's a fish that's on top of his head with his mouth open. So that's the Dagon. That's a god, half man, half fish that came up out of the sea. He supposedly that's the story that told that's brought knowledge and understanding and wisdom to the people of Sumner and people of Mesopotamia and all that. And fish-eyed people, they got things of people, fish-eyed people. They got fish characteristics and they got big bulging eyes like fish. But anyway, so when you come back over here, it says in Adam, book of Adam and Eve, then Satan and 10 from his host transformed themselves into maidens and with more grace than any other in the entire world. They came up out of the river in front of Adam and Eve, and they said among themselves, "Come, we will all look at the faces of Adam and Eve." Now they had ability. Evidently, they grotesque, because when the Most High cursed them, they grotesque. But they still out of there. Anything the Most High created, they got the ability to transform themselves into it, shapeshift. So it says right here, then Satan, the 10 from his host, transformed themselves. They shapeshift. That's their ability to get your mind right. So they transform themselves into the maidens with more grace than any other in the entire world. So they're gonna look good. They're gonna transform. They're looking good. And they came up out of the river in front of Adam and Eve, and they said among themselves, "Come, we will look at the faces of Adam and Eve, who are of men on the earth, and they are beautiful, and their faces look different than ours." Then they came to Adam and Eve, and so remember, while I'm reading this, that Satan was kicked out before the flood in Genesis. Before the flood in Genesis, it's two floods. It's a flood in Genesis 1 and 2. He brought about when Satan died, when Satan just got angry. And so when we pick up the Bible, we pick up in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, he returned into the earth. It's a flood, and the Lord of hosts moving on the water. That's one of these angels' characteristics. Water don't prevent them. The water don't mean nothing to them. So anyway, so they returned into the earth. Let's look at it right quick. For some people that don't know about this. Okay, so he says, we're gonna look at it right quick. So 1 and 1 says, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's at the very beginning. But a flood took place in between verses 1 and 2. It was the judgment on what Satan was doing. All the planets was in operation. So verse 2 says, and the earth was without form and void, darkness was upon the face of the deep. So the whole earth is covered with water, like it was when Noah's ark was floating on the water. Right here. So the Yahweh and the Lord of hosts returned to the earth. Right here, from what he had done with Satan. And the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God, that's Michael, the Lord of hosts, the angel of God, moved upon the face of the deep. Yahweh in the heavens, Michael moving on the water. So in the process, understanding that before this happened, Satan and a third of the angels was kicked out. Before that. So let's look at it. So now we see he over here doing the most with Adam. And it says, let me pick it up. Okay, it says, I just read that they came up out of the river in front of Adam and Eve, and they said among themselves, "Come, we will look at the faces of Adam and Eve, who are of men on the earth. They are beautiful, and their faces look like they're different than ours." Then they came to Adam and Eve, greeted them, and they stood amazed at them. Adam and Eve looked at them also and wondered at their beauty and said, "Is there another world under us, or with such beautiful creatures as these in it?" And the answer is yes. And the maidens said to Adam and Eve, "Yes, indeed. Many of us were created." Then Adam said to them, "But how do you multiply?" See that he want to know how you multiply. Your angels, how you multiply. And they told him, "We have husbands who have married us, and we bear them children, and who grow up and in turn marry and are married and also bear children. Thus we increase our, O Adam, you will not believe us. We will show you our husbands and our wives. So that's where I want to get at. So they angels, they fallen angels, they wicked as hell. They know how to transform themselves. So he ain't got no wives and no children. That's all. It's Satan, and he had a 1/3 of angels on the 30 of these serpents that came out with him. So he called across the river, and they shape shifting and came across there like they got women and children. This the depth of the deception. So like I was saying before, you think it's the little, you think that's something a big when it show you that JC is a joke, and then show you that the New Testament they concocted it. You think that's something big. Look what these clowns doing right here. So they come across the river, they angelic beings, but they fooling Adam and Eve and talk like they got families. They shape shifting and doing all kinds of stuff. Hoodwinking Adam. That's why Adam asked him if he know the difference in angels and humans. If you got wives and children, then where they at? We gonna know you humans, cause Adam already know ain't nothing but him and Eve on the earth. That the Most High had that he formed. So he said, where your wives at? So then he got a trick for that. So he called across there to these other angels. They come across there in the form of the children and women. See that? So anyway, so he says, then they shouted over the river as if to call, see that? As if to call their husbands and their children. And the men and the children came up from the river, and every man came to his wife, and his children were with him. But when Adam and Eve saw them, they stood speechless and were amazed at them. Then they said to Adam and Eve, see, all our husbands and our children, you shall marry Eve as we have married our husbands, so that you will have children as we have, right? So we see that. So like I said before, let's look at today. These people wicked as hell. Adam and Eve got no business dealing with them. Well, they done fooled us with the Gentiles, and we made at the Gentile. We marrying them. This ain't nothing new on the sun. So let that ferment. Anyway, so it says this was the way that Satan was to deceive Adam. Satan also thought to himself, God at first commanded Adam concerning the fruit of the tree, saying to him, do not eat of it, or else you shall die. But Adam ate of it, but God did not kill him. He only gave him a law and death and plagues and trials until the day he was to leave his body. But if I deceive him to do this thing and marry Eve without God's permission, God will kill him. We read it this morning. Anyway, I'll go down. It says, and Satan and his host went down into the river in front of Adam and Eve, so they would not see them going back to their own world. Then Adam and Eve went back to the cave of treasures, as they usually did around the evening time, and they both got up and prayed to God that night. Adam remained standing in prayer, but did not know how to pray because of the thoughts of his heart about marrying Eve. And he continued this way until morning. And when light came up, Adam said to Eve, get up, let us go below the mountain where they brought us a gold, and let us ask the Lord concerning this matter. Then Eve said, what is that matter, Adam? And he answered her, that I may request the Lord, inquire of the Lord, to inform me about marrying you, because I would not do it without his permission, or else he will kill you and me. For these devils have set my heart on fire with thoughts of what they showed us in their sinful visions. Then Eve said to Adam, why do we know to go to the foot of the mountain? Let us rather stand up and pray in our cave to God, and let us know whether this advice is good or not. Then Adam rose up in prayer and said, oh God, you know that we transgressed against you, and from the moment we sinned, we are stripped of our bright nature, and our bodies became brutish, requiring food and drink, and with animal desires. Command us, O God, not to give way to them without permission, for fear that you will turn us into nothing. If you do not give us permission, we will be overcome and follow that advice of Satan, and you will again kill us. If not, then take our souls from us and let us be rid of this animal lust. And if you give us no order about this thing, then separate Eve from me and me from her, and place us each far away from each other. Then O God, if you separate us from each other, the devils will deceive us with their apparitions that resemble us and destroy. See that they're able to shapeshift. That's why he's talking to. I read you this morning. He talking to the king of Tyre, but it ain't the king of Tyre. It's Lucifer. He didn't shapeshifted. So, like I was saying, when you understand who Zeus is, Zeus got all these children all over the place, right? Well, how? It's Lucifer. He going to all these different kingdoms, and the king gone out to war somewhere. He show up in the tower looking like the king, and going in and sleep with the woman. The woman think it's her husband, and that's what I was telling you about watching the movie Alexandria, because Alexander mama kept on telling him she had a sexual encounter with Lucifer. She called him Zeus. And she kept on telling him, you don't look like your dad. Look at you, and look at your daddy. You ain't none of your daddy. Zeus your daddy. She kept telling him that, and you got a destiny. Yeah, so you get a chance, watch that movie. So it says, if not, then let me get 24. Then, oh God, if you separate us from each other, the devils will deceive us with their apparitions that resemble us and destroy our hearts and defile our thoughts toward each other. If our hearts are not toward each other, it will be toward them. Through their appearance, when the devil came to us in our likeness. Here Adam ended his prayer. So what Adam telling us right here? He giving us a better understanding of the garden. So look what he says. What happened in the garden? We know the serpent slept with Eve, but we can't fathom how it went down. So we tell you right here, if our hearts is toward each other, it will be toward them. If it's not toward each other, it will be toward them, right? Through their appearance, when the devil comes to us in our likeness. So he came to Eve like looking like King Arthur and hoodwinked her. So then it says, here Adam ended his prayer. Say, then God considered the words of Adam that they were true, and that he could not await long for his order respecting the counsel of Satan. And God approved Adam in what he had thought concerning this, and in the prayer he had offered in presence, and the word of God came to Adam and said to him, Adam, oh Adam, if only you had this caution at first, before you came out of the garden in this land. After that, God sent his angel who had brought gold, and the angel who had brought incense, and the angel who had brought myrrh to Adam, that they should inform him respecting his marriage to Eve. So anyway, like I was saying before, it says, and the word of God came to Adam, right? So we ain't breaking that down. We dealing with these Gentiles, and we're not thinking like Hebrews. So he says the word of God came to Adam, right? So you know, like I say, they want to tell you that's some kind of spirit or whatever that's coming to Adam, like the Holy Ghost. But we see right here it says the word of God came to Adam and said to him. See that? Talking to him. So if it came to him, it's talking to him, it's a being. And that's what the New Testament has done to us. We can't see that. It's a being. So who is this being? If only you had this caution at first, before you came out of the garden into this land. After that, God sent his angel. It's an angel. It's an angel coming to these prophets. It's an angel that led them out of Egypt. It ain't no some being, mystical being that floating around up in the heaven. It's a being, and he got a name. And his name is Michael. He's on the right hand side of the Father. The Lord host talking to him. Yahweh talking to him. He coming to the earth, back and forth. That's why he's saying Yahweh is in heaven and the earth is his footstool. Why is the earth his footstool? He got this angel that's over the earth. So they synonymous. That's where they get the concept of JC from. He got the Father name in him. No, this angel got the Most High name in him. Let me read that. I read it before, but I'm gonna read it again according to what I'm talking about now. Let me go right quick and read it. So he says, now remember what JC said. He came in the name of his Father, and his Father name in him, right? So you got to ask yourself, which one is it? Is it, who got the power? Both of them got the Father name in them, but one of them is an angelic being. So who got the power? So it says 23 and 20 of Exodus. Behold, I send an angel before thee, keep thee in the way, to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him. Beware of this angel. Obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. This is where they get that from, this typology. So they then took this name that the angel got in him, they took it off of him and put it on JC. Now JC got the Yahweh name in him. But that ain't the order that the Most High have in place. You got an angel that got his name in him that was there from the beginning, who is our Redeemer, our El, our strong one. Okay, so let me get back over here where I was at. Okay, so it says therefore Satan worked operations before Adam and Eve, because he sought to kill him and to make him disappear from off the face of the earth. Meanwhile, the fire of mortality came over Adam, and he thought to commit transgressions, but he restrained himself, fearing that if he followed the advice of Satan, God would put him to death. Then Adam and Eve got up and prayed to God, while Satan and his host went down into the river in front of them. I already read that, I think. Let me see. Okay. Says, then Adam rose up in prayer and said, "Oh God, you know that we transgressed against you, and from the moment we sinned, we were stripped of our bright nature, and our bodies became brutish, requiring food and drink and animal desires." That's where I'm at right here. So it said, then those angels said to Adam, "Take the gold and give it to Eve as a wedding gift, and promise to marry her. Then give her some incense and myrrh as a present, and be ye both with one flesh." Adam obeyed the angels, took the gold and put it into Eve's bosom in her garment, and promised to marry her with his hand. Then the angels commanded Adam and Eve to get up and pray 40 days and 40 nights. And when that was done, then Adam was to have sexual intercourse with his wife, for then this would be in a pure act and undefiled, so that he would have children who would multiply and replenish the face of the earth. Then both Adam and Eve received the words of the angel, and the angels departed from them, and Adam and Eve began to fast and pray until the end of the 40 days, and and then they had sexual intercourse as the angels had told them. And from the time Adam left the garden until he wedded Eve were 223 days, and this is the 7th month and the 13th day, and that was how Satan war with Adam was won. By Adam and Satan was defeated. Well, I want to show you this right quick. Then I want to deal with Jared, because I was telling you earlier this morning how they downplayed the story. They downplayed the story of Enoch, and they downplayed the significance of Jared. So let's look at Jared is Enoch's father. So I want to read this right quick. So it says, the angels came, said, then those angels said to Adam, "Take the gold and give it to Eve as a wedding gift, and promise to marry her. Then give her some incense and myrrh as a present, and be you both with one flesh." So that means that coming together as sex. Adam obeyed the angels and took the gold and put it in Eve's bosom in her garment, and promised to marry her with his hand. And the angels commanded Adam and Eve to get up and pray 40 days and 40 nights. And when that was done, then Adam was to have sexual intercourse with his wife. For then this would be this would be an act of pure and undefiled. It would be pure and undefiled. So what does he talk about? Let's go back over here right quick. So I read this earlier, but I'm gonna show you this in contents. So it says right here, Genesis. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 25 says, he brought the woman to the man, right? And he says, and they both were naked, and man and his wife, and they was not ashamed. That's because of what the angel just said. They had sexual intercourse, which ain't nothing wrong with it, because Why would he make two different sexual organs, but you can't do nothing with them? So they had sexual intercourse. It was pure, truthful, and righteous, and pure when they had it right here, and it was not ashamed. So this justify chapter 3, verse 5. For God doeth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, as angels, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, she lusted after him. We already know how he done it. He appeared to her like Clark Gable. So he says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took. And I showed you what Isaac did with Rebekah when he saw her coming on the camels. He came and took her off of the camels and went right up in his mama's tent and consummated. So he says, 6 says, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired, would make one wise, she took the fruit thereof, and did eat, gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. Now 7, and the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they was naked. So now they know they're naked because this ain't pure. It was sex happened, but it ain't pure enough. And you know, like the Most High had it over here when he brought the woman to Adam. So now they didn't had a sexual encounter, but it ain't pure. Now the eyes open, and they sewed fig leaves together. Okay, so let's go back over here. And so let me get this right here. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna deal with the story of I'm gonna deal with the story of Jared. Then I'm gonna close out. So it says, and when Seth was 7 years old, he knew good and evil, and was consistent in fasting and praying, and spent all his nights in prayer and praying to God for mercy and forgiveness. He was fat. He also fasted when bringing up his offering every day. He fasted more. Look at this. So, like I was saying before, this is what they don't want you to know about these people. They just give you a little brief synopsis of who they was, but you know they don't give you the in depth and to understand who Seth was and who Jared was and all that. So it says when Seth was 7 years old, you got to understand. Look at Solomon, what he did. Why was Solomon so wise when he was young? David was his daddy. He's standing right there watching everything David do. So it's quite natural. Seth gonna be super sharp. Adam is daddy, and we see what all Adam went through. So it says when Seth was 7 years old, he knew good and evil, and was consistent in fasting and praying. He consistent in fasting and praying, and we just saw that's all Adam was doing, right? He said, and spent all his nights in praying to God for mercy and forgiveness. He also fasted when bringing up his offering every day. He fasted more than his father did, because his demeanor was beautiful, like that of an angel of God. He also had a good heart, and his soul was precious. And for this reason, he brought up his offering every day. So we know Satan coming, try to get at him, right? It says, and God was pleased with his offering, but he was also pleased with his purity. And he continued doing the will of God and of his father and mother until he was 7 years old. After that, as he was coming down from the altar after giving his offering, Satan appeared to him in the form of a beautiful angel. See that? Beautiful angel. Brilliant with light, with a staff of light in his hand and wrapped with a girdle of light. Ain't that what Michael did to Daniel? He appeared to Daniel with a golden girdle wrapped around him. Satan doing the same thing, but he wicked as hell. So it says, and he greeted himself with a beautiful smile and began to beguile him, just like he did Eve, with beautiful words, saying to him, Self, why do you live in this mountain? They're on the mountain. It's the mountain of God. Michael, it is rough, full of stones and sand and trees with no good fruit on them. It is a wilderness without houses or towns, no good place to live in, but everywhere there is heat, weariness, and trouble. And he said further, but we live in a beautiful place, in a world other than this earth. Our world is one of light, and we live in the best conditions. Our women are more beautiful than any others. Self, I wish you to marry one of them, because I see that you are handsome and to look at. In this land, there is not one woman good enough for you, and there are only 5 souls in it. But in our world, there are many men and many young unmarried women, all more beautiful ones than the other. So I wish to remove you from here so that you may see my relations and be wed to uh, whichever you like. You shall live by me and be at peace. You shall be filled with glory and light, just as we are. You shall remain in our world and rest from this world at its misery. And you shall never again feel weak and weary. You shall never bring up an offering or appeal for mercy. You shall commit no more sin, nor be swayed by passion. And if you will listen to what I say, you shall wed one of my daughters, because to us it is not a sin. See that? And it is not considered animal lust. For in our world, we have no God, because we all are gods. They go, I told you. See that God's lowercase? That's L's. Ain't nobody, it's Yahweh, and he all he created was angels in heaven. Ain't nothing else there. So the lowercase is angels, L's. So he says, and we all are of light and are heavenly, powerful, strong, and glorious. He tell you right there, there's angels. And when Seth heard these words, so this where the knowledge and understanding come in that Adam had gave him from him dealing with Satan. It says, when Seth heard these words, he was amazed and began to believe Satan's treacherous speech, and said to him, you said there is another world created other than this one, and there are other creatures more beautiful than the creatures that are in this world. And Satan said, yes, you have heard me correctly, and I will tell you more good things about them and their ways. But Seth said, see, he got Adam's not for wisdom that he gave him. Your words have amazed me, and your beautiful descriptions of it all. But I cannot go with you today, and at least not until I have gone to my father Adam and to my mother Eve and told them all you have said to me. Then if they give me permission to go with you, I will come. And Seth said, I am afraid of doing anything without my father and my mother's permission. I do not want to perish like my brother Cain, and like my father Adam, who transgressed the commandments of God. But you know your way to this place. So come and meet me here tomorrow. See that? So we see what's going on right here. So Seth, he's super sharp, because Adam had informed him that it's a being out there that's gonna do everything under the sun to trick you. So anyway, we're gonna keep going, trying to get over here to Jag. Okay. So to set up the situation, by the time you get to Jared is the sixth man that was called, because you say he had Adam, then Adam had a son. Adam had a bunch of sons and daughters, but one he called. That's the one that was chosen, was Seth. Then Seth had a bunch of sons and daughters, and he had one that was called Enos. So when you understand that process, Jared is the sixth one from Adam, and then Jared had Enoch. Enoch is the seventh from Adam. So what's going on is they on this mountain, and they living up high on this plateau, and because they don't want to deal with Cain's descendants. They wicked as hell. They down on below them in the valley, but they up on this mountain. And so what these angels, Satan and these fallen angels trying to do is get them off of that mountain and come down the mountain and mingle with Cain's seed. See that? So that's where we at today. And so we thinking all this cool. But at one time, it was people, elect ones, that was separated from these wicked ass folks. Wasn't no one flesh, no one bloodline. It's two different type of people. So the children of wickedness that came from Cain, and then you had Adam's descendant. So it says, let me read this right here. It says, after the death of Enos, Canaan led his people in righteousness and innocence, and his father had commanded him. He also continued to minister before the body of Adam in the cave of treasures. Then when they had lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him, and when he was about to enter into rest, all the fathers with their wives and children came to him, and he blessed them and earnestly urged them by the blood of Abel, the just, saying to them, let no one among you descend ye from this holy mountain. See that? So they're up on this holy mountain. What is the holy mountain? The mountain that Moses stumbled up on. But we don't know this part of the story. All we know is that Moses came in and an angel appeared on a bush. We don't have this part of the story. So all this went on before Moses even got there, years and thousands of years before. So he says, let no one among you descend from this holy mountain, and do not make friends with the children of Cain, that the murderers, they down below. So this killed the story. This killed the story of JC coming for everybody. It killed the story. 4. Then Mahala embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures with his fathers, and they made offerings for him, as was the custom of their fathers. Then Mahala led his people and fed them in righteousness and innocence, and watched them to see they had no relationship with the children of Cain. See that? That's the wicked folks. He also continued in the cave of treasure, praying and ministering before the body of their fathers, asking God for mercy on him and on his people until he was 870 years old when he fell sick. Then all his children gathered around him to see him and to ask for his blessings on them all before he left this world. Then Mahala arose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face, and he called his eldest son Jared. So here we are, we are Jared. So why he crying? Because the Most High already showed him in a vision what's going to happen. So he crying, right? So then he says, who came to him? He then kissed his face and said to him, Jared, my son, I solemnly urge you by him who made heaven and earth to watch over your people and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not let even one of them go down from this holy mountain to the children of Cain, for he will perish with them. Here, my son, there will come a great destruction. See there, he's telling them, the Most High already gave him a dream and told him the great destruction upon the earth because of them. See that? Because of Cain's descendants. So go to the story I've been telling you over and over again about who Japhet is. They hid him. Because he's saying the flood came because of Cain's descendants, which is Japhet. Right? So he says, but also know that your children will not listen to you, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relations with the children of Cain, and they shall perish with them. My son, teach them and watch over them, so that no guilt will be on you because of them. Mahala continued saying to his son Jared, when I die and bore my body and laid in the cave of treasures by the bodies of my forefathers, then stand by my body and pray to God and take care of them and fulfill your ministry before them until you enter into your rest yourself. Mahala then blessed all his children. Then he laid down on his bed and entered into his rest like his father. But when Jared saw that his father Mahala was dead, he wept and grieved and embraced and kissed his hands and his feet. So did all his children. And the children embalmed him carefully, laid him by the bodies of his fathers. Then they stood and mourned for him 40 days. Here we go. It says, then Jared kept his father's commandment and arose like a lion over his people, right? See that? He rose like a lion, and he fed them in righteousness and in innocence, and commanded them to do nothing without his consent. This was because he was afraid for them that they should go down to the children of Cain. He gave them orders repeatedly and continued to do so until the end of the 480 years of his life. And at the end of these years, there came to him a sign, and Jared was standing like a lion before the bodies of his fathers, praying and warning his people. Satan envied him and produced a beautiful spectacle before Jared would not let his children do anything without his counsel. Now here we go. Satan appeared to him with 30 men of a host in the form of handsome men. See this? Come on. And Satan himself was the oldest and tallest among them with a fine beard, looking like a Hebrew Israelite. They stood at the mouth of the cave and watch what they do to Jared, and called out Jared, who was in the cave. He came out to them and found them looking like handsome men, full of light, very beautiful. He was in awe of their beauty and their looks, and wondered to himself whether they might not be of the children of Cain. He said also in his heart, the children of Cain cannot come up to the heights of the mountain, and none of them are this handsome as these appear to be. And among these men, there's not one of my kindred, so they must be strangers. Then Jared exchanged a greeting with him, and he said to the oldest of them, my father, tell me how you are so wrongful, and tell me who these are with you. They looked at me with strange men. They looked like strange men. Then the oldest began to weep, and the rest wept with him. And he said to Jared, I am Adam. Look at this. I am Adam whom God made first. And this is Abel, my son, who was like by his brother Cain, who was killed by his brother Cain, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. And this is my son Seth, who I asked the Lord to give me to comfort me when I no longer had Abel. Then this one is my son Enos, son of Seth, and that the other one is Canaan, son of Enos, and that the other one is Mahalalel, son of Canaan, your father. See that? So he then came to him, and he appearing, look at all of them looking like Jared's forefathers. But Jared remained wondering at their appearance and at the words of the elder of him. Then the oldest said to him, do not stand there in awe, my son. We now live in the land north of the garden, which God created before the world. He would not let us live there, but placed us inside the garden below, which you are now living. After I transgressed, he made me come out of it, and I was left to live in this cave. That was when great and horrible trouble came on me. And when the time of my death drew near, I commanded my son Seth to tend his people well. And my commandments is to be handed from one to another to the end of generations to come. But Jared, my son, we live in a beautiful region while you live here in misery. Your father Mahalalel informed me that a great flood would come and overwhelm the whole earth. Therefore, my son, fearing for your sake, I arose and took my children with me, came here to visit you and your children, and I found you standing in this cave weeping, and your children scattered among this mountain in the heat of the misery. But my son, as we missed our way, we came as far as this. We found other men below this mountain who inhabit a beautiful country, full of trees and fruit, and all manner of lust, green vegetation. It is like a garden. When you found them, we thought they were you, until your father Mahalalel told me they were no such thing. Now, my son, listen to my advice. Go down to them. See, he wants them to go down to the mountain. He's trying to get them off the mountain, this holy mountain. He's trying to get them off of there. So he says, now, my son, listen to my advice and go down to them, you and your children. You will rest from all the suffering you are in. If you will go down to them, then arise, take your children and come with us to our garden. There you shall live in our beautiful land, and you shall rest from all the trouble which you and your children are now living in. But when he heard these words from the oldest, Jared was confused and went here and there. But at that moment, he found none of his children. Then he answered and said to the old one, why have you hidden yourself until this day? And the oldest replied, if your father had not told us, we would not have known it. Then Jared believed his words, that his words were true. That's what they did with the New Testament. They got us believing the words is true, but they wicked as hell. So 23, so that the oldest said to Jared, wherefore did you turn about so as so and so? And he said, I was seeking one of my children to tell him about my going with you and about their coming down to those about whom you have spoken of to me. And when the old one heard Jared's intentions, he said to him, do not worry about that right now, but come with us and you shall see our country. And if the land in which we live please you, we shall all return here and take all your families with us. But if the country does not please you, you shall come back to your own home. And the old one urged Jared to go before one of the children came to talk with him talk him out of his decision. Jared then came up out of the cave and went with them and among them, and they comforted him until they came to the top of the mountain of the sons of Cain. Then the old one said to one of his companions, we have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave. So see, he done tricked Jared away from the cave where his forefathers at in there. Because he wanna get rid of them. So he says, we have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave, and that is the chosen garment we have brought to clothe Jared with. And he then said to one of them, one of you go back, and we will wait for you here until we come back. Then we will clothe Jared, and he shall be like us, good, handsome, and fit to come with us in our country. Then that one went back, right? But when he was short distance off, the old one called to him and said to him, you stay here until I come up and speak to you. Then he stood still, and the old one went up with him and said to him, one thing we forgot at the cave, it is this. We forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave above the bodies that are in there. Do it and come back to us quickly. That one went, and he told and the old one came back to his fellows and to Jared, and they came down from the mountain, and Jared was with them, and they stayed by the fountain of water near the houses of the children of Cain, and waited for their companions until he brought the garment to Jared. Then he who went back to the cave put out the lamp and came to them and brought an apparition with him and showed it to them. And when Jared saw it, he wondered at the beauty and grace thereof and rejoiced in his heart, believing it was all true, right? But while they were staying there, three of them went into the houses of the sons of Cain. Look at this right here. Three of them, while Jared's standing there, three of them went in the houses of the sons of Cain and said to them, bring us today some food by the fountain of water for us and for our companions to eat. But when the sons of Cain saw them, they were in awe of them and thought, these men are beautiful to look at. We have never seen such before. So they rose up, came with them to the fountain of water to see their companions. They thought them to be very handsome. See that? This is what they're tricking you at. Handsome. And they called aloud about their places for others to gather together and came to look at these beautiful beings. Then they gathered around them, both men and women. Then the old one said to them, we are strangers in your land. Bring us some good food to drink, and bring yourselves and your women so we can entertain and refresh ourselves with you. See that? These three angels that came in Genesis 18, they ain't looking for no women. These fallen angels, they looking for women. So 38, when these men heard these words of the old one, every one of the Cain's sons brought his wife, and another brought his daughter. And so many women came to them, everyone calling out to Jared either for himself or for his wife. But when Jared saw what they did, they went into these women. His very soul wrenched itself from them, and he would not taste their food or their drink. The old one saw him as he wrenched himself from them and said to him, do not be sad. I am the great elder, as you shall see me do yourself in like manner. Then he spread his hands and took one of the women. See that? These are fallen angels. And five of his companions did the same in front of Jared, that he should do as they did. But when Jared saw them doing their wickedness, he wept and said in his mind, my fathers never acted like this. He then spread his hands and prayed with a fervent heart and with much weeping and begged God to deliver him from their hands. No sooner than did Jared begin to pray that the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in the place of prayer. Then Jared turned around about, but could not see them, but found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. He then wept and said, oh God, do not destroy me with this race. See that? So it's just another race of people right here. Just kill the New Testament. Concerning which my fathers have warned me, for now the Lord God, I was thinking that those who appeared unto me were my forefathers, but I have found them out to be devils, who lured me by the way of this beautiful apparition until I believed them. But now I ask you, O God, to deliver me from this race. See that? To deliver me from this race, among whom I am now staying, as you did deliver me from those devils. Send your angel, the Lord of hosts, to pull me out of the middle of them and do not have the power. I do not have the power within myself to escape from them among them. When Jared had ended his prayer, God sent his angel, the Lord of hosts, into the middle of them, and he took Jared and set him up on the mountain and showed him the way and gave him wise advice, and then departed from him. So you see that? So now when you read all this and you got a whole other understanding of what happened. Like they say, they want us to think our history started with the transatlantic slave trade, because they took all the books out and everything, so and gave you what they wanted to give you, gave you a rough draft, and so you sitting there, you don't have no idea what all this means. You know, like I said, the mountain of God and all that, you don't have no understanding of that. All you know is Moses is in the wilderness, and he came to this mountain, and this angel appeared to him at the mountain. Not understanding there's a whole history behind that. And so, anyway, we'll read some of it later. But what happened? They ended up luring all his children during the time of Jared and during the time of Enoch. They was lured off of that mountain. They no longer lived on that mountain. They was lured off of there, and we ended up down there dealing with the children of Cain. And so he told them that later on he's gonna, in the future, he's gonna deliver them to another place that's flowing with milk and honey. We know where that's at. That's in the land of Canaan. But we don't know nothing about the time and the history of our forefathers up on this holy mountain, all the way up to the time of Enoch. So I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. If anybody wanna ask any questions before we go. Long. Anybody got any questions or comments about what they just heard? Is everybody still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did y'all get anything out of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So nobody have no question? Nope.
I don't have questions, but geez,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You gotta talk. It's kind of low.
Oh, turn the volume. Yeah, there's a lot going on back then. Jeez.
Right. I mean, when you read it, I mean, you see that's part of the story. Because when you're reading it, when you're reading out of the King James, you know there's so much stuff that's been left out. You can't connect no dots. You just floating along. But once you read and find out this stuff, then everything starts fitting together. You see, it makes all start making sense. And they had to take this out. If you're gonna bring JC in the story, you can't have this in there because it ain't gonna add up.
Right.
It don't make any sense. Like I was saying, he's telling you right here off the top that it's a wicked race that they was having problems with. Let me read this before I get off the line. So this is what I want you to understand. They want you to think that they gave us the understanding that you wicked when you transgress the 10 Commandments. That's what the Most High talk about when he talk about the people, the children of wickedness. That ain't what he's talking about. He's talking about when these angels had some children, and that's who they wicked. That's a wicked race other than Adam's descendants. So that's what he's talking about. So let me go here right quick. Then I'm gonna get off the line. It says in 2 Samuel right quick. It says chapter 7, 2 Samuel. It says that David was the Lord of hosts sent Nathan to talk to David. I'm gonna pick it up in verse 8. 2 Samuel 7 and 8. Now therefore shall thou say unto my servant David, thus says the Lord of hosts, I took thee from sheepcote, from following sheep, to be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee wheresoever thou wentest, and I have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight, and I have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people. See there, he got his people, but we see Jared telling you it's another wicked race that they were separated from. And then it says, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. Who these children of wickedness? They the ones that were down below the mountain. Children of Cain. They told you, Jared told you they was. It was Cain's descendants. So ain't no in blood one blood. And that's what he's talking about right here. So we said he gonna use these people right here, these wicked people right here. Every time Israel don't do right, he gonna bring some of them upon Israel. He brought the Chaldeans, he brought the Egyptians, he brought the Medes and Persians and the Greeks and the Romans. They descendants of Cain. That's the people that was down below the mountain. So when you say children of wickedness, he ain't talking about people that stole something or lied about something. It's a whole nother wickedness he talking about. The wickedness he talking about is they have angelic DNA in them. They are mingled spirit. That's what he talking about. And they wicked as hell. You can't get nothing good out of it. That's what he talking about. But they didn't cover over that and smoothed over that with the New Testament. Because now it's in Revelations, John see a whole bunch of people from all languages, all tongues, all cultures under the throne, and they ask him about the Lamb, and the Lamb that came and died on the cross for all blood. And that's a lie from the pits of hell. Because we see right here, there's some people he got a problem with. That's wicked as hell. He wouldn't even let Cain come on the altar to make no offering. Right. So then I'm gonna close out with this. So I'm in Ezekiel right quick. So based on what I'm saying, what I'm telling you, Cain, Tubal Cain, and they're all descendants of Cain. That's Cain's one of Cain's sons. So this is a prophecy right here that haven't happened yet. It's in Ezekiel 38, verse 1. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach, and Tubal. See that? And prophesy against him. Why? Because go back to what we just read. If they took out the scriptures, book of Adam and Eve. These are people that was down below the mountain, that was wicked as hell. That these angels hoodwinked Jared and tricked him down to where they was at. These are people these angels were sleeping with and getting these giants. They couldn't sleep with children of Cain. I mean, with Adam's descendants, because when they people who they was, all they had to do was throw their hands up and pray. They had to get. So they were sleeping with these wicked folks down here below the mountain, this holy mountain that Moses ended up on. And Amingo. Now that they done took all these books out, we down below the mountain, marrying them and doing the most, thinking that we don't know what the hell going on. We think everything good. But it's abomination. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna let that front mate think about it. So anybody got any questions before we go? Everybody good? Everybody good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah. So just like I said, let me give you the book again, so you might want to go get you one. Here you go, right here. Book of Adam and Eve. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna see y'all on Monday at 7:00. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you that the class is like 20 minutes before class started. I've been doing some worship, playing music. So if you come in a little earlier, normally I start about 1:45. Play a few songs, kind of get the mood right. So you want to come in and check that out? It's on you. Yeah.